Hey, what's up guys? Gonna be doing a movie review today, and that is T2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. This came out in 1991, stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lando Hamilton, Edward Furlong. I just watched this film again, just to, brush up on things. And it's a good movie. There's no doubt on my mind this is a classic film. Classic 90s, action-packed, at the time period was very innovative with the special effects, with the liquid metal, and it was one of those movies. It was a big blockbuster. It was something that people remember. And this is a lot of people's favorite Terminator film. And I totally understand why people would love this movie. And I like the movie. I think it's a good movie. But I don't think it's better than the first film. And I'll get into reasons why I don't think it is good, but I do think it's a very solid action picture. The story, for the most part, is really well done. But if I want to compare the two, I prefer the first film more than this film. Because the first film was more on the run, more intense, lives were at stake. It felt like a horror film, mixed with sci-fi, mixed with action. This film, it's mostly just an action type of film, but there's things in it that kind of, at times, slows it down, or it doesn't feel like they're always on the run. So the movie kind of becomes too long. This movie obviously is a lot longer than the first film. Definitely. This time around, Arnold is the good Terminator. John from the future, reprograms him, and now this Terminator will protect John, from the past, to protect him from this new advanced Terminator that's the T-1000, that is liquid metal. More advanced, more high-tech, more destructive than his model. And Sarah Connor is now in an institution because they think she's crazy, because she's saying all these stories about a Terminator that tried to assassinate her when, back in 1984, the whole story about a soldier came, and a Terminator came, and now, her child is supposed to be the leader of the resistance to fight against these machines in the future. The psychiatrist, you think she's crazy. She's in an institution because she tried to blow up a computer factory. So she's been in there for some time. The staff there treat her like shit. They beat her up with nightsticks and tasers. And this review is mainly the special edition, because I prefer that version over the theatrical. Because there's added scenes that add more depth and more story and to the characters. So in the special edition, she's getting tased, with a taser from the staff. They're using nightsticks on her, so they're more, they're a lot more brutal with her, just because she doesn't want to take her medication. So, it's got, added scenes that I liked. But she finally escapes because they show her pictures of Arnold. You know, somebody took pictures because Arnold is going after this Terminator. He's protecting John, so they got pictures, newer pictures of the same guy from 1984 that tried to assassinate her. And now she needs to escape. She keeps having visions in her dreams of things happening where people are getting killed by this whole thing of Judgment Day. And she keeps having reoccurring nightmares. But they're more like visions as well, so it's almost like she can see the future. And so can John in some way too, so it's interesting. So she escapes, Arnold comes, John comes, and the T-1000 comes. He tries to go and kill them. They escape. And it's just, after that, it's just, the Terminator is trying to learn. He's a learning computer. He's trying to learn from John. John's trying to teach him right and wrong, not to kill people. How to interact as a human instead of a machine. And he's a learning computer. He's trying to learn how to adapt as a human. So it's like a moral tale, kind of about humanity. So that's cool. I like the interaction between Arnold as the Terminator and Edward Furlong as John Connor. It's kind of like a father and son kind of relationship, and that's pretty cool. And Sarah at times is sane, and at times she's on the edge and she snaps. She'll have like a dream where the bombs have dropped on Judgment Day, everybody's being destroyed, fire, flames, ashes, everybody's getting killed. She dreams of herself getting burned and becomes ashes. She's a skeleton. It's like destruction. It's like the end of the world type of shit. So she, before Arnold told her about the guy who created all this, how this led up to these machines and Skynet and all this stuff, Miles Dyson. So she goes to his house and tries to kill him. And that's my biggest issue with this film, that Sarah totally snaps and goes out of character, and she's ready to become what she is trying to run from, the Terminator. She becomes almost there. She almost becomes the Terminator because she wants to save everyone by killing this man so Judgment Day doesn't happen, so machines don't happen. And I'm like, why was this in this movie? Where she totally snaps. She only does it for a little bit. She shoots him in the arm or leg. She's about to kill him. Then she stops. She doesn't pull the trigger. She stops. She, backs away, sits down, cries. John comes and Arnold comes. They tell them, he's a Terminator, about what's going to happen, what he's going to create. But still, I don't like that they did that. That one scene bothers me more than anything in this movie. I wish they just deleted that scene altogether, of Sarah snapping and ready to kill this guy. I understand why they put that scene in there, to show humanity in people, like they're ready to kill somebody and then they change their mind. I understand that. But this is Sarah Connor. This is a character that should never go out of character like this. So that was my biggest issue with this film. Everything else is fine. I just don't like that scene. and they destroy, you know, the building that they're trying to, you know, study the machine's arm and the chip and all that stuff. They destroy all that stuff. Well, actually, they take it from the, you know, place, and Miles dies, but as the T-1000 is trying to go after him, they go into this factory where it's like they're making metal, so they got all this fire and lava type of stuff. So there's a big epic battle between the T-1000 and the T-800, I believe, is the model of Arnold's, you know, Terminator machine. There's a battle between them. There's a battle between the T-1000 and Sarah. T-1000 is always constantly changing its look. It changes to Sarah. It changes to the cops. It changes to adoptive parents. It can mimic things. But yeah, I mean, pretty much Arnold shoots a rocket launcher at the stupid Terminator. He explodes, falls into the lava, melts, burns. They throw all the stuff in there, the arm that they got, and the chip, it all melts in there, and Arnold has to be destroyed as well. But he can't self-destruct. He has to have someone else do it. So he has to be destroyed as well. Then there's Hope, and no more Judgment Day. The movie's good. It's well written, well acted. It's got really cool special effects. The only thing I have issues with is mainly the theatrical version of this film, because I remember seeing this film, but before I saw this film in the theater, I remember seeing trailers, and in the trailers it showed Kyle Reese in it. It showed all these different clips that were not in the film that I saw in the theater, which was the theatrical cut. And still to this day, I do not really prefer that theatrical cut of the film. I like the special edition, because they have Kyle Reese in there as a dream, kind of giving Sarah a message saying there is no fate but what we make for ourselves. Why the hell did they cut that scene out? Because it makes sense later on when John is talking about, oh, I got a message just now from my father from the future. Like he saw a vision or something. Why wasn't this in the damn movie? Why'd you cut that out of the theatrical cut? I don't understand why they cut certain key scenes like that. That would have added more to the story. Like the scene where Sarah is getting beaten up by the staff members at the institution, using a nightstick, using tasers because she won't take the medication. No wonder why she was fucking pissed off. They cut that completely out. They only showed one scene in the theatrical version, and it was him, the staff member, licking her face, which was fucked up, but that's all they showed. But there was more going on. They were being very brutal with her. So, you know, little scenes like that add more to the characters of what their struggles are, and it does add more depth. I wish they wouldn't cut stuff like that out, just because they want to get more people in the seats to go see this film. That's what I think that's what they did. They just trimmed it just to get more people to go see it. and more, you know, it being played more throughout the day or whatever in the theater. I thought that was not a good decision. I also think the teaser trailer, which was badass, where showed they were making the Terminator, putting all the parts together. That was such an epic trailer. And then they put it all together and they put the flesh on it, and Arnold, he's got all of his flesh and everything. And he looks at the screen and says, "I'll be back," and it says T2 Judgment Day. That's a badass teaser trailer. Why wasn't that in the film? You could have put that in the film as well. That was a cool scene. And I also think it would have been cooler if they had the T-800 as a machine with Arnold's flesh all off fighting the T-1000. That would have been cool. Or better yet, they could have just had two Arnolds fighting each other. That's what they could have did. That would have been a badass movie. Two Arnolds fighting each other for 2 hours, and one of the Arnolds is a T-1000, he's liquid metal. Because really, you don't see the T-1000 that much in this film. He's hardly in the movie. And when he is in the movie, it's cool. The special effects are cool. But, I mean, nitpicking aside, it's a really good movie. It's a good action film. I can't compare it to the first film. If I compare it to the first film, I'm always gonna say the first film is much better film. It's a lot more tighter picture as far as story, as far as edited, as far as like a lot of different things. Always on the run, always intense, always lives are at stake. It's adrenaline rush. This is like, it's in spurts. And there's a lot of times where there's a lot of downtime, where they're just chilling at a desert, trying to find guns. Yeah, there's a lot of downtime in this film as well, so it makes the film just slightly drag here and there, and it becomes too long. But nitpicking aside, this is a really great action picture, great special effects, a really good human story, which I really miss in these, the films that came after, because they didn't have the human element. It was mostly just big explosions, big spectacle, and no story. I mean, they had story, but it wasn't the human element. It didn't have layers to it. It wasn't deep. The first two movies had layers to it. They were deep films. They had something to say. They had a message about humanity and all that stuff. So the first two films, that's why people like those two films, because it has layers. They can relate to it. They like the action. They like the special effects. They like a lot of things. It's all, everything wrapped up in one thing. I mean, it's just so many great things. Just a great film, both of them. But the sequels that followed, they were just nothing but popcorn flicks. Let's just be honest, they were just nothing but popcorn flicks. You can be entertained by them, you can follow them, but at the end of the day, they weren't really something that, you can remember. Like the whole "hasta la vista, baby." No problemo. Chill out, dickwad. I mean, there's so many memorable lines in this film. But I do notice that there's a lot of humor in this film as well than the first film. So that takes you kind of... I remember when I was watching this film, when I first saw it as a kid in theater. And I knew this was going to be a different picture once Arnold came out of the bar, and all of a sudden you hear the music, bad to the bone. Once I heard that, I'm like, this has a different feel. This isn't the same as the first film, where it was like a horror picture with sci-fi and intense. This was different, and they have a lot of humor in this, especially with John and the Terminator and their interaction. John said, "Stand with one foot," you know, and he's telling him, "You can't kill anyone." And Arnold shoots the guys, and the cop, you know, the security, shoots them in the legs. He's like, "He'll live," you know. "Oh, you swore." And Arnold's like, "Trust me." I mean, there's a lot of lines in here that are played for laughs, especially in the one scene that is in the special edition, where John tells him to smile, and he smiles. But that was deleted in the theatrical cut. I don't know why they cut this stuff out. But that was actually in Terminator 5, the Terminator Genesis. They did that as well in that. So they kind of stole that idea later on in the films. So just a lot of different things, and a lot of repeating the same lines that made the first film so popular. So Arnold's got to say, "I'll be back," once again. He's got to say that line. He's been saying it in all the films. And he actually says the Kyle Reese line, "Come with me if you want to live." I mean, yeah, okay, that's cool, but why are we saying the same lines? I don't know. So anyways, this is my movie review of T2, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you guys have a good day. Take it easy.